was my favorite cartoon that I had to take out, so let me describe it. It was from the New Yorker, and I tried to get permission, but I couldn't get into their website. So it has a couple in bed, and then the wife's mother-in-law in the middle, and lying between the couple. And it says something like, "Oh, heaven's sake, Melissa, I can't ask her to leave. She's my mother." All right. Which I find very funny. You can look it up. And it has to do with setting boundaries, right? Just as I want you to not be consumed, that's a form of boundary setting. This is boundaries about protecting romance and sexual intimacy. And we need boundaries about protecting our own little slice of the pie too. So this is an interchange from a couple in our marriage book. And they have a child who was so medically fragile. I don't remember, they have twins, what it was, but it was life-threatening. I think one was, had a trach, and well, you can see they have 24-hour nursing. So she said, what we don't have in the house is the intimacy of a normal marriage because we have a million people here. And so we can't, should say, make out in the kitchen. We can, but that would feel foolish. And he said, we have a nurse on the other side of our wall 24 hours a day in 2 shifts. You even learn to make love differently. So this is a couple who decided to use some creativity. It doesn't mean, and I have protect and or rebuild. Most often we're talking about rebuilding. Next slide, please. So these are both people who contributed to the book, and it's contrasting approaches. It's that same issue of, with all these stressors, do we make ourselves greet the challenge with some creativity, or do we say it's impossible? So one parent wrote, "What romance? I have to sleep with my child as she's afraid at night and will look for me if she awakens and I'm not there. I cannot tell you how many times I know that and I'll comment on it." And then this is from another couple. "Typical times to make love are just not available to us due to our children's sleeping problems. However, we develop the attitude to take opportunities when they present themselves, like when the kids are out. It may not be ideal, but it can be romantic if you let it be, kind of like being teenagers again." So I've had some very romantic couples. I have one now where they do have to take turn sleeping in the child's room for fear they'll lose their child at night. They take turns, they have a sexual intimacy, but not at night in their own beds. One of the most romantic couples I had a child who had such severe seizures that they could never be more than 15 minutes from a hospital. And they would have these romantic dates at home and regularly. There's nothing wrong with planning romance and date nights where you don't watch your kids. Like it's great if it's spontaneous, but feeling at all sexual, it's often hard for that to be spontaneous when you're out in the real world, much less kids with illnesses and disabilities. So I think you get my point about be creative, be mindful, and figure it out.